products, but again, there are many other filters out there, other companies that manufacture these same types of filters, and it's fairly common technology across the industry. The first one we'll touch on, we call our high pressure, low volume cleaning system. We refer to this as our Venturi Jet style filter. And this uses house air or plant air that you already have available. You can see that there's a small air tank there above the access door. That's where your plant air would be stored. We like to clean these bags down at 80 to 100 psi, and it's a very low volume of air. So high pressure air at a very low volume. That high pressure, when it's pulsed or when it's shot down into those bags, actually gives a really good pop, a really good whack to those bags to help knock the dust off, to help keep them clean and extend the lives. The next style would be our medium pressure, medium volume cleaning system. You can see on this one that air tank that's located on the left of the picture there is actually much larger than the air tank on the last one. That's because we're going to clean with a much higher volume of air, but it's also at a much lower pressure. This bag house will typically be fed by a dedicated air power unit or a blower package that's going to provide the air for cleaning. So we'll have a blower package hooked to that air tank. We're going to let that air tank build pressure to about 10 to 12 psi, and then our timer board is going to tell each blast valve one at a time when to fire down. So we're actually using a lower pressure of air, but a larger volume to actually rush or help flood the dust off of those cleaning socks. Same goal and largely the same effect as that high pressure pop, just a little bit different way of cleaning those bags. And another style that's pretty common across the industry, we call this our CR filter. This would be a low pressure, high volume cleaning. This picture on the lower left is a cutaway of what's going on inside that filter at the very top. This type of filter actually has a dedicated fan, dedicated blower fan, connected to a rotating arm. And this arm is on a sled that actually seals off a couple of rows of bags at a time, and as it rotates around continuously, blows down each row of bags as it makes its way around. Now this is at much lower pressure than the past two types that we had talked about, but a much higher volume of air. And that continual downward pressure, that downward rush of air, is what helps us keep the bags clean, knock the dust off, have it taken away by the airlock at the bottom, and help extend our bag life. Now, on the pulse jet style, the Venturi Jet and our new jet, or our high pressure, medium pressure filters, those are a pulse type cleaning system. CR filter is a continual cleaning system. But on the pulse type cleaning systems, you will see this type of gauge cluster. And again, this is a kite setup, but you'll see something very similar to this on just about any bag house out there. On the top, the small gauge you see is our pressure gauge. That's hooked to your air tank and allows you to read the pressure inside of your air tank. For the high pressure, low volume cleaning system, we know we want 80 to 100 psi. This pressure gauge will allow us to take a reading in that air tank at any time and make sure that we are building the pressure that we want, and also make sure that we're not over pressurizing as well. The larger gauge on that upper picture is called a Magnehila gauge. That shows us the pressure drop, or the resistance that the bags are giving to the fan across the bag house. The dirtier bags are, the higher the Magnehila gauge will read. We'll touch on that again here in a few minutes, but that is the good telltale sign of when bags are becoming dirty and when a filter bag change may be needed soon. And of course we have our timer board, our electronic timer board. We'll touch on this again a little bit more in a few minutes, but that allows us to adjust the firing sequence. It allows us to adjust the time between firings and allow pressure to build up in the tank, a very important part of the bag house system. And again, we'll touch on each one of these briefly in a few minutes. So let's talk about design considerations. What do we think about as an equipment manufacturer, as a system designer? What do we think about from a sizing and engineering standpoint to size a bag house for you? We don't just have a small, medium, and large bag house and decide which one fits the best. We take a lot of things into consideration. The most common, the most visible, and the easiest to speak about are air-to-cloth ratio,